Welcome to the Whiskey and Wisdom Podcast, coming to you from the Cargo District Recording Studios in Wilmington, North Carolina, where we discuss the most fascinating topics of life. I'm Tyler Yaw with my co-host, Chris Kellum, and each week we interview a special guest to learn how they acquired their wisdom over a glass of whiskey. So, sit back, pour yourself a glass, and enjoy Whiskey and Wisdom. Welcome back to Whiskey and Wisdom. And this week, not only do I have my co-host Chris Kellum, but I also have on
Wes from Rebellion
and
Jay Tatum from the Brooklyn Arts Center.
And the reason why we have both of these guys on today is there is a collaboration between some of the best downtown whiskey collectors. So Rebellion, Brooklyn Arts Center, and what were the other?
Front Street Brewery, Mana / Earnest Money, and Dram and Draft.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot about Dram and Draft down there. So all the best places to get your whiskey downtown have all gotten together and have created, what is this bottle of whiskey that we have in front of us right now?
So this is Southern Star from Southern Distilling Paragon. It's cask strength whiskey, so right out of the barrel. It's a 4-year-old weeded bourbon. When this one got bottled, this was at 113.5 proof.
Wow.
Yeah, and the group has put together, they have a collaborative. It's called the ILM Downtown Brown. It's actually a cool little name and everything. So if you ever see some whiskey collections with that stamp, you know that these guys all went in and had a really good selection process.
Let's try this one we have right in front of us. Cheers.
Cheers.
Wow, that's very smooth. Very pleasantly surprised.
Bourbon
That's
for
very
breakfast.
good.
I like it.
Yeah.
Way more flavor than I expected.
It's a lot, and it'll open up too.
Yeah.
Dab a little water in it, it'll really open up.
And kind of what we were talking about before we started the podcast is North Carolina doesn't necessarily have the name for whiskey, I guess you could say, but this is definitely the best that I've had.
Hands down.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's some good products coming out in the whiskey, but I feel like this one is like the best.
Yeah.
And you know, they say that this is their crown jewel of their lineup. Right. And the award they just got kind of not, you know, is a nod to that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, nice. So how'd you guys find this distillery and decided to go with them?
Their rep, real nice guy named Paul Plyer. He came into Rebellion a couple times, and every time they would have like a new release of something, he would bring it by for us to taste on. And we just were, you know, BSing one day. Yeah. And he said, if you guys ever want to come out to the distillery and choose your own barrel. And I had run into Josh Cranford, who's the GM over at Front Street, and at the half, grabbing a little sandwich there. Yeah. And we just started talking about maybe one day splitting some barrels, and then it just kind of took a life of its own. I mentioned something to Jay, and he was like, "I'd love to get in on that." And then it went from there. So
very neat.
And I know we're at the Brooklyn Arts Center. We're not known as a bar per se, but during COVID, we built, or slightly before COVID, we built our Bell Tower Tasting Room, which is located. You know, the church was built in 1888. Second floor of the balcony area was the original bell tower. So we started putting together basically a whiskey collection ourselves. So we have about, I mean, really we probably have a couple hundred bottles on hand. We can only keep about 100 up in the bell tower. And Wes and I had met, you know, and then he was part of our bourbon club and stuff like that. And we just shoot the crap outside of this whole thing. And he pitched it to me. So like, we're not a bar all the time, but they're definitely going to sell more of this than we will. But that's how we got involved. And we're, you know, we're also going to be neighbors because they'll have a new spot in the Brooklyn district as well.
Oh wow, what's that going to be?
the Commodore.
Okay.
If it ever gets open, it's been a challenge between COVID and staffing issues and around town and the supply chain issues, but we'll get there.
Nice, yeah. So beyond you two kind of talking about this kind of collective and everything, how did you bring the others and the other bars into the fold?
Just the community that we have downtown. At Mana, it was easy. Billy, we actually own Crust too, which is right on Princess Street. So I just saw Billy one day and I kind of told him what we were doing. He's like, let me talk to Fred. Yeah. Fred worked at Rebellion. He helped us open Rebellion a couple of years back before leaving to become the beverage director there. And Fred loved the idea. He loves the product. So got them on board. And then just kind of went from there. Mostly just conversations.
Nice.
So my question, how does this actually work? Because I know we had a bottle a couple months ago that had like a stamp. I can't remember which one it was, but like I know people go out and you kind of pick up a cask. Is that kind of how this works? Is you guys just go in and you say, hey, we tried this cask. We want these for us.
Well, each company has its own process of selection. So I did bring this in so you guys had a little visual.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
But some distilleries, they'll send you their samples. Some distilleries like you to come out.
Right.
I would say most prefer you to come out. You get a feel for it. You get a feel for what they do. And then tasting it there, I don't know if it just tastes better because you're there, but it's definitely part of the experience.
It's definitely an experience. The property, too, we were just talking beforehand, Statesville, well, historically what we were told was it was the liquor capital of the world, pre-prohibition. And this facility, from what he told us, it was a NASCAR building. It was built for a NASCAR team. It's a massive facility, and it's surrounded by kind of farmland, I would say. Like, so they have cattle that are around the property. It's beautiful. They have a big barn, and there's a rick house and all that good stuff. But from what we were told, like, to me, because I know Wes has done the Bourbon Trail and stuff like that, I hadn't done that. So to see the process, and it's a beautiful place, and to see the equipment, the gear, and the fermentation happening, they're taking the spent grains and moving them to the property where the cattle are going to eat them. So it's like kind of to me, it's they're making this product, but it's also going back to the land, that kind of thing. And then they have a massive building there, the rick house. He said 33,000 barrels in that.
Building
and another one
broke ground on another one,
and it's a beautiful place. And you would have no idea it was built for a NASCAR facility, other than they have a 2-story
event space.
No, the pot still. The still is like 2 stories high. It's amazing. Wow. It's crazy. We see like gear like that, like copper and all this stuff. It's like you geek out on it and stuff. So
they've got the best too, Vendome.
Man, it's
world class.
It's world class, and I was blown away. So, like, going back to the whole process of picking a barrel, like, I think if you're gonna do it, you should go to the facility, because when you're immersed in that and see how it's all done, I mean, you see people in there working it and doing it. You can smell it. It's hot. It's all the things you're thinking it's going to be, and then they take you out, and you're like, "Show me the barrels. Let's do this." So. It was, to me, I was geeking out on it. So I know he's more of a veteran behind it, but I'm so glad we went up there.
Yeah, as am I, especially a lot of the people that went with us, that was their first time experiencing something like that. So to see the excitement on their faces was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because I was blown away. It was not what I expected. I was thinking North Carolina, spirits, right? And I've been, like you said, to Whiskey Trail, or I've gone to, Bourbon Trail, to Maker's Mark, which is just, that'll blow your socks off, right?
Yeah.
Then you go to a place like Wild Turkey that's gotten bought by one of those big conglomerates, and it's just like, it's almost like a hospital. It's like surgery in its precision. And then you go to, the places I prefer, to be honest, is a place like End of Days right down the street.
Right.
Small operation, seeing the team work together, and then you go to this place, and I was thinking it was going to be more like that. But it was world-class operation.
Well, and also, their backstory, it's a husband-wife, family-run business. So, just like In the Days, local here, right? And then this is a North Carolina company that's obviously, they're on Castle Street. These guys are in Statesville. Yeah. It's a bigger outfit, obviously, but like, it still felt, to me, just to hear the fact that the owner happened to be out of town, but he's normally there. Yeah. And he probably would have come down and hung out with us, that kind of thing. Like, I appreciate that. And going back to Makers, and not to give away their secrets, but from what they told us, like, they had gone and kind of studied under Makers, right? They're distillers and stuff. And so they had they embraced them, from what they told us. I'm telling you, it's a world-class facility with a good product. And to be from North Carolina, you think everything's going to come from Kentucky. So when you get this from our state, you're like, wow, we can do this,
Yeah. Because I know North Carolina is mostly known for like vodka, gin, when it comes to like spirits. So I'm excited that it's kind of coming up, and the bourbon whiskey setup is actually getting better, especially after checking this out. I was surprised. I was doing some research and didn't realize how many different options they had already, because I would have expected, I'm like, oh, hey, you hear the name. I thought it was going to be like End of Days, where they've only released like 2 things. But no, they have
this. What they did was they went straight to whiskey. They didn't wait. Wow. We were at End of Days on Tuesday night with Shane, and Shane said one of the key things I've heard a lot of distillers say in the past, like, it's the white stuff that keeps the lights on, right?
Yeah.
So they make that vodka, they make that gin, so they can pay their bills until they have that time for that whiskey to rest. If you think about making that investment, you're like, I'm going to put all this down. I can't touch it for 4 to 6 years.
Right.
Yeah. And he also mentioned to us that a big, for them, their upstart part was they made like a bourbon cream. And that's what he said originally was what were paying their bills was making this bourbon cream.
They also contract this.
That's correct. Too. Yeah. And I was going to say, like, so I'm assuming they were probably making vodkas and things for other people too, but they definitely but that was how they were able to get into the game. So it was kind of, and then it was kind of full circle listening to Shane's story too the other night. Cause like you said, like in order for these companies to get rolling, they have to turn a product you know, in order to keep the doors and pay the employees. And especially when you go visit Southern Distilling, I mean, it's a lot bigger outfit too. I can't even imagine what the overhead on that place is. So,
gosh, it's quite large.
It's quite large. Yeah.
We're gonna have to check that place out.
You really got to go there. I mean, anyone listening to this should just make the pilgrimage. It was a 3.5 hour drive.
That's not too bad.
It's not bad at all.
But it's right outside of Charlotte, so you know you go out to distillery, visit distillery. You can go into Charlotte for the night, spend the night.
Yeah,
we didn't. We
kind of wish we would have, but
we did the quick turnaround. But no, it was definitely worth driving out there to see, especially if you've been to a place like End of Days and you see a small operation like that, kind of like a mom and pop, if you will, and then you go out to see this, and you're like, wow, this is cool.
It is, and you can tell they did their homework. I mean, just listening to Paul. I mean, I know he sells for them, but number one, he knew his. He was definitely done his own homework working for this company, but like they knew what they were doing. They knew what they were getting into. It just sound like they started in 2014? Is that
2013.
Right? 2013.
Okay.
So although they're young, they're still. I think they're going to be a force to reckon with.
Right.
And it sounded like they had a lot of cool things coming down the pipeline. He had mentioned partnership with the Carolina Panthers.
Oh wow!
While we were there,
I didn't say what.
Okay, I don't know if I was supposed to say that, but
you didn't say what. It was a mention. It's just like
don't hashtag this on tag them.
It's like the cargo district. Whenever you hear, it's like, oh, I heard this, but it's never true until it actually drops.
Yeah,
because so many things change around here. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Does Southern Distilling have like a 7-year and a 9-year then, since they've been around for so long, or? No. Okay.
I mean, you don't have to age it that long, but their double rye. Isn't that one?
The double rye was up there. I don't remember.
When's the release date on that? It's coming up, right?
I don't remember.
He's going to bring it down. Or the Brooklyn Arts Center, obviously, we have our bourbon club, like I mentioned, not to plug that, but he's going to bring it down in December. We're going to do their product line with the club. So
the process on that rye is unique.
Yeah.
Because I think they do take an older, like higher number of years, and then they blend it together with something that's a little bit younger.
Oh, okay.
So that's why if you look on the bottle, it's like the double rye. So it's like same shape bottle, but the label's green and gold.
Right.
And that's their double rye, and it's good. I'm not a big rye fan personally, but
Me neither.
I enjoyed that.
See, that's funny.
I was going to say that's one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah. You'll love that. It's stellar. It's really good stuff.
So yeah, I mean, this one's the weeded, so that's why you're going to get that more sweet flavor to it, and the vanillas and all that stuff. Whereas like your rye, you're gonna have that. You're missing that spice. I mean, there's a little bit of spice in this, but not a lot. But getting back to your question about like how they do it with the barrel, what they did on this is they had samples from 3 separate barrels.
Okay.
They poured it out, and then you go through the process. I mean, over the years, I've developed my own process. I don't think there's a correct way to do it.
Right.
It's just what works for you, right?
Yeah.
But we went through that whole rigmarole, and then you basically, for me, I've been doing this a bit now. You get to eliminate one pretty quick.
Right.
And then it was difficult. I mean, the two that we were down to, which was the one we picked, barrel at 89 and then 115, they were neck and neck. I just thought this, to me, was better because of the higher proof. And if you're going to use it in a cocktail, like an old-fashioned or something like that, you want that high proof to carry through into the cocktail. And it was pretty unanimous. I think it was 4-1.
Okay.
Yeah.
I won't say who the one was.
No, but this was the first one that I personally went with, and I wouldn't even like. I appreciate all kinds of whiskeys, and I wouldn't say like I don't as much as I love it. I don't find myself like I don't think I have I'm not a connoisseur or
right. Yeah.
Like I hadn't studied whiskey tasting or anything, but to me it was great on the front and good on the back. And there was one had a little more burn, I think, on the back side, maybe. I mean, I'm assuming it's the higher proof.
I mean, I wrote a note that you never really want to see on this one. It's medicinal.
Yeah,
exactly.
And that was like, I mean, I taste. And what's really weird about this tasting is I always nose them first. Mm-hmm. And the one that I eliminated right off the bat because of that one had the most beautiful nose.
Okay.
So those things, it could be deceiving. Once you smell that, and you're like, oh, this is going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
And you taste it, and you're like, oh, this is awful.
Yeah. Yeah. And the lower proof one, to me, just I felt like it was missing something. I don't know. We landed on 113.5, and it was like Wes said, I felt like, and I know everybody at my table was like pretty much like, this is good.
I think if Tyler had been there, he'd have gone with 115.
Okay.
Being a rye fan, I mean, this one had that baking spice flavors, and it did have a little bit of a spicy bite to it. It actually drank like a rye.
Okay. But, that's interesting.
Yeah. But this was definitely the star of the show.
And I know for me, and I've shared this with some other friends of mine that I feel like are versed in whiskey, and they've all been like, "Whoa, this is incredible! Right. It's good stuff." Yeah, and they, like I said, it's. I feel like we did the world justice by having this pick here, I think, and bringing it back to Wilmington.
Yeah, we definitely picked a good one. There's no doubt about that.
Especially for the first one.
Well, it was important. We talked about doing a first one. Where do you want to go? Who do you want to look at? We've always have companies like Maker's Mark coming at us, or Old Forest, or stuff like that. But I thought, like, if we're doing this like as a local community collaborative event, we should try to keep it here in North Carolina. Obviously, having Front Street on board is cool because then when the barrels come in, we could roll the barrels over to them, and then they could throw some beer in it.
Yeah, that's cool.
So
that's what's happening.
Yeah, they have. Paul brought us a couple barrels, and they have them over there, and I think they're going to do the Scotch ale.
Yeah.
So that's going to be pretty neat. We won't see that for a bit, though.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Couple months, right? Is
Something like that.
Yeah.
That's still a great process to keep it more in the state versus being like, oh, well, we can get it from Kentucky or whatever, Tennessee, all around, but keeping something local and being like, hey, this is a North Carolina beer through and through.
And I feel like we picked the best in North Carolina that we have currently right now. Mm-hmm. And,
that's by far the best in North Carolina whiskey I've ever had.
Yeah. Me too. And I don't even want to name the other companies, but like this is like something to put your name on, put a sticker on.
Right.
Yes. And actually what's funny is I learned a lot about the sticker process. You can't, obviously you can't deface the the laws that go behind it. So Southern Distilling makes that little side sticker there, but we did talk about making our own little sticker. Like it's just, you can't, right? Am I correct? You can't deface the...
You can cover the label. You can't, if you're going to have this, I mean, obviously you'll notice there is no tax stamp on this. When we get barrels in, I take some from my private collection, and this is what I pulled that out of. But you could put a sticker on it, but there's certain things that aren't supposed to be covered. Yeah. Especially if you're going to be selling them behind a bar. Like the tax stamp has to be there still.
Right.
But yeah, these are all pre-approved by TTB. Okay. So really the only thing that can challenge is if there's language on there that they deem not professional.
Right.
I love that.
So how was it working with the ABC? Because I'm sure you had to for this, right?
This is easy.
Okay.
Yeah, this is one of those things where their concern is when this comes in, you're going to buy it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
They don't want to be sitting on 40 cases of booze.
That nobody else is, or people will consume it, but like I understand their reason behind that too.
Yeah, I mean, there's this commitment. They have to take that in and then hold it. And then I'm sure that there's been times where a company commits to it and then they don't pick it up.
And what I didn't know is they buy the LBD buys it from Southern,
right? And
then we buy it from the LBD, obviously. So I assume when Wes said, "Well, when I said what's your financial commitment?" I thought we were going to write Wes a check or like, and then Wes would write a bigger check to Southern. I had no idea. I didn't realize that we still had to purchase. I mean, I knew we had to go through the channels, but I just didn't know. I just assumed we were going to write a check. They're going to bring this big barrel. Yeah. We were going to sit in a parking lot and bottle it with them or something. I don't know, but it was
a little bit more fun. But
it would have been fun.
That would have been awesome though.
But it was a different, kind of way that, of course, North Carolina is the way we have to do it. So.
We in the Cargo District we have a whiskey bar as well too, and the owner of that had his own whiskey collection that was like from like antiques.
Oh, Matt.
And,
Matt.
Yep. And he had to sell it to the ABC and then buy it back from the ABC. So it's just crazy.
Something to be said.
Like
I mean, that's a whole nother podcast.
We're going through that antique process right now.
Oh, really?
We got the license. I have a number of bottles in my collection that fit that age requirements, and they're going to be on our back bar in the next few months.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
It's pretty cool. Some fun stuff. You know, it came to a decision. I'm like, I could have this, I could keep it, but like, what's the point?
Yeah.
You know, at that point, it's like, what's the point?
Yeah.
And
It's funny because like I got some cool bottles, but like I always tell my friends, it's like I'm also a bit of a sneakerhead. I like some Jordans and stuff. So, and I'm like, you know, I got these Travis Scott Jordans, and my kids are like, you gotta sell those, Dad. You can make $1,000. I'm like, you know, it's like a bourbon to me, kids. I'm gonna drink it and I'm gonna wear it. You know, I don't really care about the. You know, I bought it for $100. You know, like I don't care about. That's just me. I don't care about the $1,000 personally, but I just want. I want like a cool dad,
Right.
And I'm gonna drink my bourbon too. So
We follow a guy on YouTube, Max Tuning, and he bought a pair of like off-white Converses and a pair of Travis Scotts, and he just wore them to the gym as his lifting shoes. And everyone was like,
what are you doing?
Yeah, freaking the
out.
hell out. And I was like,
I don't know who Travis Scott is.
he's a rapper.
He's a rapper from Texas. He's also married, or maybe dates a Kardashian. So.
Or he did.
Right.
It's all weird.
Yeah, but he does a collaborative effort with Nike, and he basically what's funny is the shoe I have is like a Nike Air Jordan 1, and they turned the swoosh like upside down or reversed it or whatever. So you pay $150 more because the swoosh is backwards.
Gotcha.
Just like a nice bourbon. That's been,
That's exactly how it works.
You know, that's been aged for 20 years. So, but it's a little bit different concept.
People collect everything.
They will. They definitely will.
For an extra plug for the bourbon club that you have, I know it sold out filled up pretty quick. So for people like Chris and I who may want to join it.
Yeah. I mean, I get that question a lot. What happened first, like, is the bell tower, our bourbon bar is located on the balcony level of the church building. So the fire capacity up there kind of dictated how big the club was going to be.
Right.
We could put 60 people up there. The fire capacity is really 50, but we do 60 often up there. Don't listen to this city Wilmington. But we also knew that so originally we wanted like 50 members for the club. Right. And we kind of let it roll. And actually, I think about 90 people signed up. Oh, wow. And we took 63. Because we also knew that, like, you know, not every meeting we had, someone might be out of town. Right, somebody's going to be working. Some kid's going to be playing soccer, whatever. So steadily, we've gotten 50 people. So we just did this last meeting. I think we had 40 some people in the days for the last meeting. Okay. But now that we and we also didn't want to like jump in and be like, just not knowing what, like, you know, I wanted a good experience. I wanted people also, if they're spending this kind of money, to be a part of a club that hopefully every time we do these meetings, they're like pretty awesome. Yeah. For me, like the first one we did Smoke Wagon. We also had like a bluegrass band. We did a food element. We had a cocktail for everybody. Yeah. And then we had a social hour. And I just wanted it to be, and I have a lot of friends too. I had to be like, well, hold on, let's get settled in first. And I know Wes has some buddies. We've already talked about this. And we do plan on expanding it this year. We just wanted to put our feet out there first and see how it worked. Because we also didn't want to load it up. And we also wanted like the exclusive side of it too. Yeah. So not everybody is like a part of there. And we're going to grow it. I mean, we have a storyboard for it. And we've been kind of like trying to create more of a thing. And, you know, like, I don't know. I want it to be special every time. Right. And I think ultimately we'll probably take in other parts of Brooklyn. I mean, it's a massive property. So I think we'll eventually set up not always in the bourbon bar. Right. There was also talk of, you know, doing some cigar pairings and things. So we'll move around the facility. And in 2023, we're hoping to have started working on we have a massive basement at Brooklyn. Oh, okay. So we're going to put a little speakeasy bar down there too. Cool. So we'll probably and that would be like kind of open like Monday through Thursday because we have events all weekend. Oh, yeah, for sure. And it would be an exclusive thing. We'd want you just to show up. Like it'd be a word of mouth bar is how we want it, how we envision it.
Like a true speakeasy.
True speakeasy because we can't like as a venue, I don't want people showing up like on the weekends thinking the bar is going to be open, you know, because we do what pays our bills is events. And that bar concept was more, I think of churches. Churches are open Wednesday and Sundays, right? And then they got all these days where it closed down. So for us, it was more of a like, let's think of ways that we have this property that we can utilize it other times than just the weekend. So that's kind of how it all came about. But going back to the original question, like we are going to open those memberships up again. We're close to, as we get close to Christmas time, I think we're going to revisit in January. But just, let me know. Like I know definitely. People. So, but we're excited about it. It's been a lot of fun. It's definitely been fun getting all of our like people together. And I've met a lot of people just at that, at the Bourbon Club and stuff. And it's all people that love what we're doing here. You know, people that listen to your podcast. Wilmington definitely has a great, I think a great whiskey town. It's getting there.
It's definitely growing.
Yeah,
for sure.
And that was another. If I can go back to the collaborative effort. Yeah. I mean, these are all people like we don't look at each other like like you're still in my business or something. Right. But it was a true collaborative, and even like meeting with Ellie the other day and talking at Front Street Brewery and just everybody's fun and like let's do this. It's all about Wilmington and promoting our businesses and all that good stuff.
I mean, I think we all believe that the more people that are coming downtown to frequent these places, it's better for all of us.
For sure.
I might be on a wait one night. They might not be.
Yeah.
Right. We'll send them over there. Great.
Yeah.
I think it's beneficial to all of us.
To everybody. And all of us, we support each other's, we got to love. Fantastic food at Rebellion. Fantastic selection of whiskey. Front Street Brewery is amazing. All these places, Mana, can't go wrong. Earnest Money, Dram's amazing. If you haven't been in there yet, please go in there because, gosh, it's amazing.
Cool spot, yeah.
It's super cool.
I think the only one I haven't been to is Earnest Money.
Yeah, it's a great bar. Yeah, and so like
that's a membership too, right?
It is, but it's kind of like Brooklyn in the sense where another thing too is like for our members, we were trying to open up Brooklyn to just members, so you come there and drink. But same with Ernest is like he can only fit like 20 people in there comfortably. It's super small, so they want to know when you're coming, that kind of thing. But that's cool. It's an exclusive bar. It's not.
I think are they on a VIP reservation?
They are. Yeah. You call and let them know ahead, and I like that personally. I'm a bar guy. I grew up DJing in bars, and I love bars. I love all bars. Yeah. But as I've gotten older, I kind of appreciate places like that too, where I can just show up and have a cocktail.
Right. But they give you the option, like if you're doing a business meeting, like, hey, we're going to meet over here. And it's an exclusive. It's not like someone's going to randomly walk in or you're going to have a loud group of people outside. It kind of like keeps it a little bit contained.
It's very intimate.
Definitely more intimate.
Right. Yeah. And it's cool. If you haven't been in there, go check it out. They've done an amazing job. And Luke, that used to work at Ernest, he kind of heads up our bourbon deal. So
cool. And
that's kind of how my connection was to even Ernest, really.
Nice.
He's no longer with them, but like I knew him kind of from Ernest. And going back to Matt Ray, he introduced me to him. It's small. Wilmington's a small town.
It is.
That make me Wes, and
the connection between us it's a crazy story.
Yeah,
we had the rebellion in DC, and these two guys come in there one night. I was actually not in town, and they're talking about, we're opening a brewery in Wilmington. They were in DC for I think.
Wow, I don't think I knew this.
Craft Brewers Conference.
That's how
it was. And
wow,
they saw Rebellion. They're like, I think this looks like a place we might be able to get a couple, Coors Goldens. And they came in, and my business partner was in there, our chef Travis Weiss. And they started Dave Swigert, and I think it was Carl.
The old brewer.
They were in there rapping. And he's like, my business partner's actually in Wilmington right now. He's moving. He's helping his dad move to Wilmington. So it was just a really small world. Wow. They left a business card. I shot him an email. He started inviting us past the house to see what they were doing, brewing in the shed. And one day he's like, hey, man, you got to come over and check out my buddy Jay Tatum. He's got this pub shed. You've never seen anything like this. So meandered down the street, and Jay's a very hospitable guy, and our relationship was struck up like that. So it's Wilmington is a small town.
It is,
but for the fact that those guys were in DC at our bars,
I don't think I knew that. Yeah. I thought y'all had met from other channels.
Man, pretty crazy.
That is crazy, and that's how we met, as he said. And then we've been we both have pub sheds, so I have like a brotherly pub shed bond with Wes too. So we're just trying to make Wilmington the pub shed capital of the world.
Right, yeah.
So
I'm about it.
Yeah, his pub shed. We always talk about like it's funny. Like I want to spread pub shed culture to everybody. So it's like, and I have pub shed envy. I follow these guys. I'm like, man, this is amazing. Look at this, But his place looks amazing, and we're always like, we gotta. I kind of wish you'd move out of Monkey Junction area and come on downtown here. So
Yeah.
I don't think it could fit.
I know you probably can't.
You could move to Castle Hayne. There's a lot of space out there.
That would be a good spot.
Yeah.
A lot of acreage.
Yeah. The
No,
Rome.
that's not a pub shed,
Right.
sir. That's a pub barn.
Yeah, that's right. It's a whole different look.
Well, it's hilarious because like I moved into this neighborhood and it connects finally to like another set of neighborhoods that sprawl out, and there's just this random acreage that just went up for sale, and I'm like, it'd be real nice. And there's a guy off like right past the church, and he has his own little shed behind the house, and I'm like, I wonder what he does in there because there's always lights on at like 11 o'clock at night when I'm doing a workout. I'm like, I kind of just want to like knock on the door.
Right.
But he's definitely in there hitting some Southern stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Definitely. I mean, it's pub sheds. I mean, that's a whole nother podcast
Right.
too. So, but it's been fun.
I wish I had mine during COVID.
Oh, that would have been perfect.
That would have been perfect timing.
Could have just paid off all
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Come on in, it's $20 cover tonight.
Talk about speakeasy.
Yeah.
$20 cover for everybody tonight.
I would have done it.
Yeah. No, it's been a lot of fun having just once again, like it's funny because we all have bars, but I love hanging out in my backyard bar,
Right, yeah.
just as much as any other bar. So it's just funny how that all.
I think the longer I've been in the business, the less I like being in bars.
Right.
I would agree with that. Well, I mean, like it's funny because you could take all the things that you admire about your bar and put them in your yard and have your own little space. The drinks are free, not really free, but and you can select what clientele you want to walk in your
Right.
business in your backyard at night.
Yes.
So I'm similar to you. So I was a DJ for 10 years as well.
Okay.
So similar, like when it comes to going into crazy clubs, like I'm not really about it anymore. I've had my fun and games with that. So going into a place where you can kind of sit down, enjoy a bourbon, and have the less
Yeah.
crazy atmosphere. So yeah, I get that.
It's weird to be on. I always tell people like I'm always at the party, but I'm the puppeteer kind
Right.
of. So, and I think that's the reason why I still love the host. Like,
Yeah.
although I'm not playing music anymore, I'm like, I still love the host the party. Like I love having people get together.
Yeah.
It's what I like. It's my air in my lungs. Just to make sure everybody's having a good time. That kind of thing.
That's all.
It's hard to turn off too, though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is hard to turn on.
I have a hard time being in my own places and enjoying myself.
I agree. Yeah, because you're always wondering how is everybody enjoying themselves, or like is the
Or you
food
just notice things.
Yeah, like, man, did they mop this floor today? Or, or you do notice things,
Yeah.
and it's hard to turn it off. I mean, that's the reason why like, when we did End of Days this week, I was like, we're at Shane's place today. This is his gig. We're just here
Right.
enjoying ourselves.
Cut loose a little bit.
Cut loose, and we had a good time. And then, and can we not to we're chit chatting, but should we talk about End of Days a little bit? Or
Yeah. So again, this collab is not like a one and done. We, obviously the beer coming up, but so the next one is going to be with End of Days. So
Oh, that's
was gonna
awesome. I was
ask,
going to ask. Yeah.
yeah, we talked to Shane the other night. We said we'd love to announce it on this podcast. So
Oh, awesome.
yeah, so we're going to do. We're not sure what we're doing. Maybe the rye, maybe not. I don't know.
yeah,
I think that's just going to be one of those things we have to sit down with him and chat about. But yeah,
Yeah.
he was excited about it.
yeah. I mean, and choosing them's a no brainer,
Right. Yeah. Really
Wilmingtonians.
keeping it local. That's awesome.
Yeah, and they're good people. I don't know if you've had Shane on the show or Oliver.
Not yet. I actually I sent an email out to him. So if you're listening now,
Yeah, he's such a. You got to get Oliver and Shane together because they both are talkers by
Yeah.
nature. Excuse me, and they both kind of come at it from different angles too.
okay.
So, Shane being a home distiller and, Oliver's story is pretty amazing. Like he was an accountant and then he basically was like, I don't want to be an accountant anymore. I like making cocktails at my house. And he gave up the corporate world to become, End of Days Distillery, which I think is,
Leap of faith.
yeah, a big leap of
Definitely.
faith from and his dad's got, probably one of the biggest accounting firms in Wilmington. And for him to just say like, I'm good. I want to jump into this and do something I love to do.
Yeah.
My hat's off to that. So
And it shows though.
it does show and especially when you're there, because it's very passionate from both sides.
Yeah.
And it's a family business. I mean, Beth's running around putting samples out. That's Shane's wife.
Yeah.
Oliver's over there doing his thing. He's like a mad scientist in the lab. And, I've met their other partner too, who I think does more of the accounting side and stuff like that. But it's a very family business, like all of our businesses, really. And it's cool to see. I mean, my kid was working at Brooklyn Arts Center cleaning toilets last night.
Yeah.
So, it's thing about it is like people think like when you're a business owner, like, oh, they're but there's a lot of work and sweat and tears that goes into all of it, especially during COVID times, So, and, to have a whiskey and have enjoy conversations really is a release for us too.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
So anyway,
It's all part of it.
it is a part of it. It's a huge part.
One of the questions I wanted to ask you guys too is how did you meet the owners of Dram and Draft as well too? Because since it's a new place that's downtown.
I hadn't met the owners at first. I met their director of operations.
Oh.
When they were doing the build out and doing all the work, they would come into Rebellion here and there. And
Oh, yeah.
just started up those conversations, and then I got to meet the owner or one of the partners. And we asked them, we're like, hey, we're doing this thing. We put this one together pretty quick. So like the 5 that are in it now are 5.5 because of mana. It may not be the same 5 on the next one. We may add some. There's a couple other spots downtown that great whiskey establishments that we definitely would like to include in this.
Right.
But this was kind of like thrown together pretty quick, and it was what was closest to us.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
if you think about outside of Jay's place, everything is right there within a 2-3 blocks range right there downtown.
Right.
But yeah, there's definitely some good spots we'd love to have included in the future.
There's a lot of awesome places downtown, obviously.
Right.
And I'm glad that we were, Wes and I had that relationship that he brought Brooklyn in. So, and to expand to the district there. I mean, even I hadn't been to the New Eagles there, but I'm assuming they're going to have a pretty stellar collection of liquor in there as well.
I'm sure we have to get him on here. I saw him.
That place looks amazing, by the way.
Yeah. Just opened,
Yesterday.
Yeah. So
officially.
yesterday.
Yeah.
Cool.
From recording
It looks
this.
amazing.
I always laugh because I remember I met Joe years ago. Gosh, I was like a baby back then because he knew somebody I had worked with when I was a kid working at Bath and Body Works. And they were like, hey, you should try out this bar. And then I found out that it was a veteran-owned bar. So, I always like to support like local people as well as veterans.
Yep.
And
Wes is a veteran right here.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
no
I
way.
didn't know that until I saw his shirt. But that's the thing, like everyone, it's like a small community within a small community.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I always feel like you should definitely support Eagles there. It looks legit.
Yeah.
It's in a great spot. And I mean, I think it'll be a nice accessory point for that.
Right.
For the
Brooklyn
district,
Arts
yeah.
Well, that whole area is growing.
It is.
310 opened up.
310s on the
Kitchen sink.
far north side of 4th Street.
Okay.
Kitchen sinks over there.
Kitchen sink.
Eventually we'll be over there.
Commodore will be there.
You got, Edward Teach and Fly Trap.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff to do over there. It's
There
not-
is.
Goat and Compass is obviously an anchor there in the
Right.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
Scott runs a great business.
He sure does.
It's cool. I mean, it's cool to see that neighborhood grow up, and it's exciting.
Yeah. There's a lot of history with the Brooklyn neighborhood. I mean, people don't realize that, the Brooklyn name dates back to the Civil War.
Oh, wow.
That was Little Brooklyn of downtown Wilmington. And there was Union soldiers that fought here from Brooklyn, New York, stayed here.
Oh, wow.
And that was always called Little Brooklyn. I get people always be like, so the Brooklyn Arts Center was bought by a New Yorker? I'm like,
No.
no, it's,
Not quite.
It always, I was like, if you go down the road here, you're going to see Brooklyn, Brooklyn, Brooklyn.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
if the second you speak, everybody's going to know that.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, I'm from Castle Hayne, so South Central Castle Hayne. So no, but yeah, but that's kind of it's a very historic part of downtown. And it's cool to see. It's like I said, I'm thankful Wes invited me in, and Wes made the bridge for me. And then I knew Billy from Mana,
Right.
and I've known Billy a long time actually. And
Yeah,
then,
shout out to Billy because he came up with the name here.
yeah.
Downtown Brown.
Yep. You should get Billy on here. He'd be a good
I was just thinking
podcast
about
too.
that, yeah.
Billy in his own right. Billy by himself will be fantastic, and he's got some good stories too. So, but I've known Billy a long time, and I, some of the Front Street Brewery folk, and then I didn't know the Dram people until Wes introduced me to them. So, but everybody's good people, a lot of good people in our industry for sure.
No doubt.
So, Wes, what brought you down here then?
My dad moved down here when he retired from New York City DOT,
Oh, wow.
and my wife and I started coming down and visit, and she was like, "We need to move here."
I got to ask you a question though. So my question is: so when Dave went to Rebellion in DC, had your dad already moved here?
He had just moved here, so I was.
Isn't that weird in its
it
own
is
right?
really- it was-
That-
They were in DC the weekend. I would have.
where you were like, my dad lives there.
No, I was here.
Oh,
I was
okay.
actually with the moving truck and everything, bringing him down here.
so
That weekend.
crazy.
That is
It's-
small world,
it's a
man.
weird
Talking about a
crossover.
fate thing for
Right.
So, but yeah, then that was 2016, something like that.
Yeah.
And then we found it was Buzz's Roost.
Yeah.
That's
It
right.
was for sale, and we hammered out a deal pretty quick. Started construction in 2018, January. And then April 10th, we opened. It was our first day of business. So, like, we opened in the week of Azalea Fest. So,
Oh, that's a good
yeah,
time.
that was
You're like, holy cow.
like that Mike Tyson saying. Everybody's got a plan so you get punched in the face.
Yeah, right.
Azalea Fest was that punch.
Oh, I bet.
It was crazy, but it was fun.
Yeah.
We had good leadership for a while there, and we still do.
Yeah.
But yeah, we pulled the plug on living up there up north and during COVID.
Right.
Moved down here full time in 2020.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I got to throw a plug in for Wes' wife's business too. You should tell, while we're here,
Yeah,
seriously,
might as well.
like, I think it's cool because I didn't even really know about it until ran into Wes at the Volkswagen. I don't even own a Volkswagen, but my friend comes over and picks me up at his 1968 Bug. Wow. And I got to tell you, I'm a dad bod kind of guy, so like putting on a seatbelt from 1968.
I kind of enjoyed watching it.
So I pull up, and as soon as I see Wes, I'm like, thank God there's people like me here.
My wife has a bus though.
Yeah, that's right. You got lounge.
Yeah, my fat ass fits in that. Yeah, no, she bought a 72 Volkswagen bus and
wow.
called Roadies. And she does like local
okay.
brewery tours and stuff like that. And
I've seen that on Instagram.
Yeah, it's cool. I didn't even know it was. I saw it on Instagram too. And I didn't realize that it was hers until.
Oh, no way.
It's cool. Cool little
together.
side gig.
Yeah.
A little side hustle. She has so much fun with it. So
That's cool.
She would be the perfect one to take you around town. She's got a great personality too.
and she loves it. I mean,
It's always great when you find something you actually love.
Right.
Like you were saying, Oliver from End of Days, like, you're working in a corporate hustle. You were a DJ for many years and you're like,
I got into DJing because I love music. I tell it all the time. I didn't get in there for the drinks and the women were were like, it was great to see them, but I got into it because I love music and I'm thankful. I can remember being married early on thinking like my wife's a CPA and she would introduce me at these CPA things like, it's my husband. And of course, everybody's like, well, what's he doing? He's like, he's a DJ. And I was sitting there thinking like, they're looking at me like I never grew up, like there are other accountants here. And I'm like the guy that is in the bar still. So, and then luckily I was able to make a living doing weddings and things like that. And I feel like Brooklyn, where I am now, is was a stepping stone to get there. Cause I'm still in the wedding business. I'm still in the entertainment thing and I still hear music that I love. So like, I feel like I'm doing what I was designed to do. I didn't always feel that way. Cause like, I feel like you're supposed to jump out the gate and then it's like, go to school and get a degree in what? What am I going to get a degree in?
Right.
Like, I wasn't that person. So I wasn't the person that was like, I want to be a doctor or a lawyer or a fireman or what, like I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And I feel like now, like I'm doing what I'm designed or built to do, but it's tough trying to figure that out, as we all know, sitting here right now. So
yeah, it took a while.
Yeah. And it's cool when it kind of clicks and, here we are now sampling whiskey with you guys on a Sunday. It's great. So
Nothing wrong with that.
there's nothing wrong with that. That's living your best life. And then the pub shit. It really, if I just had a pub shit, I would have felt like I made it. Right. I don't need anything else, just a pub shed.
Look, Mom.
I got a shed in your backyard and I'll be back here drinking.
It's funny you mentioned that though, about people looking at you saying like, he didn't grow up. Because I feel like the bar business has that.
It does,
a lot.
for sure.
Like people look at you and you're like, oh, how old are you?
Old club kid there.
When are you going to get a real job?
Right.
I'm like,
no. I hate when I hear staff say that. Like, I'm doing this now until I get a real job. Like, what is a real job? Like, to me, a real job is you get a paycheck. Yeah, to pay your bills. That's
Absolutely
a real job. Isn't it?
I say that all the time too, especially in Wilmington. So like I frequent a bunch of bars around here, and every time I talk to people, they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm doing this for now." I'm like, "You do understand that if you love this and you enjoy talking to people and making cocktails, like this is a career that you can be in."
Yeah,
and you can. There's
I
a
think
bunch
you
of stepping
mentioned that
stones.
on the episode with Matt, didn't you?
Yeah. I tell people all the time because I know many bartenders that when they finally, quote unquote, go to their big boy job or whatever, they're like, I hate this.
Yeah, they're
And I'm like,
miserable.
yeah,
They're
I told you to stay in the bar industry because you were great at it.
And it
like,
could be a very lucrative business if you're
Absolutely.
doing it right, and if you do have, you're passionate. Just don't own a bar. There's nothing. You look at your staff all making more money.
Yeah, and you're like,
Right.
God. I felt that way at Brooklyn many a time. I was like, man, they got paid what? And tips? You're like,
Yeah.
man, not living my best life here. But
Right.
no, it is one of those things where you should always just be happy doing what you do.
yes.
And life is short, so it's important to kind of it's, to me it feels that way. I mean, we could all fall prey to like the what we're supposed to do, but it's just finding something you like and tap into what your what your best gifts are, I guess, and give it back to the world. So I know it sounds kind of yoga-ish out there. So.
I mean, I just look at what's sitting in front of us here.
Yeah.
Like we're just, I love doing these collaborations.
Yeah.
These collaborations are a lot of fun. There's a lot of excitement behind them, especially here in Wilmington. There's a beer town. We have our collaboration with New Anthem.
They do.
Thanks, Aaron.
Oh shoot!
Right. I was saying, let's talk about that too, since you have it in here.
Yeah, so Aaron we were chatting one day, and he said, "You guys interested in doing a collab with us?" And New Anthem's probably one of the best reputations for a brewery here
no doubt.
in town. I mean, I was in the Outer Banks last month, and we hit a couple bottle shops and stuff like that up there, and it's like, man, New Anthem is everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I think I've seen more New Anthem here than in my own backyard. And then I was talking to my GM. We have an Arlington, Virginia location still.
Okay.
I was talking to him a couple weeks ago, and I was like, hey, are you familiar with New Anthem? I told him about the possibility of doing a collab, and he was just like, I mean, he's a beer nerd. He was just geeking out. He's like, are you kidding me? Like, and I was like, no, he wants to do it. So we talked about it, and I'm not a big fan of the really chewy, that looks like you dumped some orange juice in your IPA.
Right.
But New Anthem does make some banging ones. But I was like, it's kind of what I'm thinking is not really what you guys typically do. And he's like, well, we're looking to branch out and do a couple more things. So
Oh, wow.
I was like, well, I would love to have like a crushable, West Coast IPA. Something that you're not going to, you sit there, you can finish that 4-pack and maybe be looking for the next 4-pack. But
Dang.
Yeah.
they killed it. It's nice citrus flavor. It's got a little dankness at the end of it. He and I are both Navy vets, so the whole the can artwork is all.
I love it, man.
It's all a tip of the cap. So mid-watch is like the worst watch. It's the one you didn't want, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. So we thought that was a funny name, and then the artwork is with the fist with the swallows on the hands, and that's that's symbolic for when you would be out at sea.
Yeah.
And it's like one way around this part of the globe, the other way around that one. So we got the two swallows on there, and back in like the early days, they had things called Liberty cuffs. So that when sailors would go out wearing their dress blues, you have like that Cracker Jack looking uniform.
Yes.
So you'd flip the sleeves up, and underneath where the white piping was, there would be dragons or mermaids or
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
and they were called Liberty cuffs, and they knew that you were off. It was kind of like, hey, look at me.
Oh,
That's
funny.
awesome.
I'm off duty, so pretty cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. I
We
didn't
wanted
know
to do
that.
something veteran related, but we didn't want to be like, hey, look at me, to buy this because it's veteran. We didn't
Yeah.
want. That was important to us. We didn't want to be, because I feel like there is a lot of that out there.
Right.
I mean, we wanted you to buy it because of what's inside of it, and it's the response has been nothing short of amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to session the other day. They had it on tap. I was like, that's cool.
Oh, that's
That
cool.
is awesome.
My buddy bartends at Island Beverage. He's like, man, and they own. He's like, man, I looked down the bar the other day, and there was 6 people sitting at the bar, and every single one of them had this
Drinking
can.
mid-watch.
on.
That's
No,
awesome.
that's awesome.
I was like, you didn't get a picture of that, man?
Yeah, right.
That Instagram.
Yeah,
like,
right,
popped in my head. I was
exactly.
like, man, that would have been awesome. But no, it's been cool. And Aaron, they're great to work with over at New Anthem. Their beer is amazing. So
He's such a nice guy, and I also want to I had some friends come in from Raleigh last week.
Yeah.
Who are beer nerds, and they love all beer Wilmington provides, but they wanted to go to New Anthem. They're like, we gotta go to New Anthem. So, and then you probably saw on their Instas or whatever, they're moving, or they're opening up a place in Raleigh,
Yeah.
so which is cool. Not moving to Raleigh,
Yes.
but they're
Right.
Yeah, I want to clarify
another
that.
location. Yeah.
But that's awesome. Yeah, so I think they will crush it in the Raleigh area too.
Oh, certainly will.
I think that was crazy because, I mean, I've seen New Anthem since they were in that little spot right down the street from Husk. And I could never make it because my job always let me out too late. By the time I got downtown and found a parking spot, I was like, they're closed.
Yeah.
But I love to see how much growth they've had and how they do incorporate a lot of local artists and a lot of people around the area. Because like we had HP Fangs on a while back, and he's done artwork for 2, if not 3 of their bottles or 3 of their cans.
Yeah, they're doing the sours and stuff.
Yeah.
And then like your Rebellion.
That's
collab.
I love the look of that can. I mean, that's one that you got to keep that. I'm sure you got it on display in your pub shed.
Even better, I have it on draft.
Oh, my God.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Yes. Yeah, we had on Friday a little hurricane party.
Heck yeah.
We may or may not have kicked at least one keg.
And Aaron's a fantastic guy. I've known his wife. I went to high school with her, so she's fantastic. Yeah.
So did you go to Laney?
I went to Laney. Yep. Yeah. Are you Laney guy?
Yes.
I don't want to tell you what year I graduated. It was, it's not, it was, Michael Jordan was there long before I was.
Okay. So we'll go with that.
Yeah, we'll roll with that. But Aaron's, I've known his wife for a long time. So they're just good people. Once again, amazing Wilmingtonian folk. And there's a lot of cool stuff coming from Wilmington. So
Yeah, they actually have another barrel of ours.
get out.
Yeah, so we just did a Rebel cask barrel selection, and they have that over there.
Oh, heck yeah.
And I'm not sure what's in it, but
It's gonna
he
be good
asked me if
stuff.
I had any. He's like, "What do you want in it?" I was like, whatever you want to put in it.
Right.
Dang.
I mean, it's easy working with guys like that. It's like,
Yeah,
I don't
for sure.
care what. I know it's going to be good. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and nitpick.
No, I mean, why not? Is that who did that can art? Is that, or
I should know this, but I don't. It's on their social media page. It's
We'll search it.
They have like a couple, like maybe 2 or 3 people they're working with right now doing all their new can work. And what they've come out with lately has just been nothing short of fantastic.
yeah. I got to ask Wes. So if you turned your cuffs, what was embroidered on your cuffs?
I was, that was a long time ago.
Before my
Different Wes.
we didn't have
Cuff
it
art.
wasn't like our thing. I bought some to do when I was overseas one year, and I just never had them sewed.
So right now, what would your cuff art be?
Those dragons look pretty.
No, they really. And the funny thing is, if you wouldn't have told the backstory, I was trying to put it together. Like, what is mid-watch? Like with the Asian dragon thing there.
right.
So
I should have just said dragon. We also when I was in, we weren't, when we were going to port, we weren't really allowed to wear our uniforms out. So I was in during an interesting time when it comes to that. We would usually wear civilian clothes,
Yeah.
but
Understandable.
What did you do in the Navy?
I was an aviation machinist, mate.
Oh, okay.
So nothing really cool. I'm not gonna tell you anything.
My dad was actually on a nuclear sub.
Very
He's
cool.
in the Navy, so yeah.
Yeah, the one cool thing it was just the work in the flight deck though was that's an adrenaline rush.
Oh, I'm sure.
So
I couldn't imagine doing that.
that was really cool. And then just the tempo that you're doing it at. I'm just glad I was 22, 21, 22. I don't think I could do it now. But
Gosh.
that was a lot of fun.
I bet.
The answer is mid-watch is worse because you start your overnight watch, and you have a group who does it the first couple hours, and that's fine because you can go to sleep. The mid-watch person has to go to sleep, wake up in the middle of the night, and then there's also the guys who show up at the end of the night, so they got to sleep all night and then wake up and just wake up early. So mid sucks because you sleep a little bit, wake up, and then go back to sleep.
How do they pull straws for that mid-watch?
Low man on the totem pole.
Yeah, I bet. It's like everything
It's
in
either
life.
that or who did you piss off this week?
Yeah, right.
I got real screwed in basic training. Somebody messed up, and it happened that instead of just having normal like a 3-person watch, they were like, "All right, everybody has to be on every night." And so I ended up with like double watches. So it was like you'd have first, and then you'd end up like 3 hours later, or like you had two. I was like, it was some of the worst mess, but it definitely teaches you to not fuck up.
Yeah, I bet.
It's surprisingly motivating.
Carried with you.
The lack of sleep definitely educates you.
Yeah.
So this episode, kind of going back to the whiskey that you have going on here, because I'm reading back through your press release. So it releases on October 5th, right?
Yes.
All right. So this actual episode is going to release after that, but I want to make a good clip for you for your release. So with that being said, what's your best pitch to everyone out there to have them come and try it?
Honestly, just try it.
Yeah.
You're going to love it. I mean, it's you guys tried it. It's not something that we have to sit here and sell someone on drinking.
On North Carolina
Yeah, I do
whiskey.
think
Right.
there's going to be some people. I think, and Jay, you were saying this earlier about people were just wowed by it. I think part of that wow factor truly is that you don't expect a whiskey like that to come from North Carolina. So you have that in your head, and it's like, oh, it's going to be okay. I don't know. And then you drink it, you're like, wow, did not see that coming.
Well, even you had mentioned is the New York Spirits. What was the award it just FYI, like the picture that we were showed, like it's literally like he got, mainly all Buffalo Trace whiskeys.
Yeah. It's,
And then this is sitting right in the middle of that.
so I don't butcher this. I'm just going to read it.
I just pulled it up too.
It
Yeah.
was the best overall bourbon, best single barrel under 10 years. 4 bourbons won best in class for in their respective divisions. The best single barrel bourbon up to 10 years, which also won best overall bourbon, was Southern Star Paragon Cask Strength, single barrel wheated straight bourbon whiskey. So now this is their expression that they sell, right? This is not like our barrel or whatever. This is the one that they sell. Now it is, every barrel is a single barrel, like with Paragon. So the cask strength. But they won that big award, which is huge for them.
Yeah.
It's like there's 2 major competitions here in the U.S., and that's you get the New York one and then San Francisco.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And if you're placing in those, your product's good.
But the pictures, tell them what's on there. You got Buffalo. You got Blanton's.
Left to right, you got Blanton's, E.H. Taylor, Red Line. I'm not familiar with that one. Garrison Brothers, and I can't make out the label on that one. So.
Yeah.
But then right in the middle of all that is that Southern Star Paragon.
Oh, wow.
Pretty good company. You're in
very
company
impressive.
with E.H. Taylor and Blanton's.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
And I'm telling you, like, if you say none of them, you didn't know anything about them and put that down in the middle, you would gravitate to this. So to when you go back to your question, like, how are you going to market? I'm telling you, you just need to go try it out. For whiskey lovers, like you'll automatically be turned on to it. And you're going to buy it. You're going to buy it again and again and again. Like you got your favorites. You got good stuff up here, but like this will end up in your collection.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, the sad part was we only got those, like 30 cases.
Yeah.
That's the only sad part.
But we'll go back. We definitely got to, I think this is going to be a long-term relationship that we have with these guys, for sure.
Yeah. I'm going to shout out Brian Pratt here right now, who's the beverage director over at Flying Machine in Wrightsville Beach. And when he was on, he was like, have you really had North Carolina whiskey or a bourbon that you've actually enjoyed? And up to that point, it was no.
I would agree.
Now,
I would agree with that. That's the reason why when Wes turned me onto it, I went and got some just to sample it. And it wasn't even this. But the Paragon, I was like, wow, that's pretty, like I said, I'm not versed in it, but I know enough to where I was like, wow, this is different than what I've had from North Carolina. That's for sure.
Definitely. When you were up there, did they say what Paragon was or how it came to be or what they did about it to make it different?
Well, I mean, this is the weeded bourbon. And Jay said earlier that they kind of studied under Maker's Mark and got tutelage from Maker's Mark. And they wanted to go that weeded bourbon route. They didn't want to be the high rye. They do make a high rye, but they wanted their like, I guess, flagship, if you will, to be a weeded product.
And I think they knocked it out of the park. Yeah. I mean, and Paul talking to us was like, you could take this and stick it next to a Weller's. And he was like, you're going to have people that will not be able to tell the difference. Yeah. They really won't. Or they might even say, I like this, whatever this is. If you took the labels off, and I agree with that statement.
Yeah, personally. I agree too.
Yeah, I also think it's going to be a personal thing too.
Yeah,
some people don't like that high proof.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. Personally, I'm a fan. Like if I was going to drink Weller Antique 107 would be the one I would go to.
Yeah.
Blanton's for years was like 93. They come out with the gold. It's 103. I prefer the gold. Right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then Makers has always been 90.
Yeah.
And then there was that one time where they had like this massive brain fart and said, we're going to go to 87 and people lost their.
Yeah.
That was pretty crazy. It went back to 90 and they came out with a 101. And that 101 was available for a long time only at like duty free and stuff like that. But I'm a big Makers fan. Always have been. We have a Makers blend at Rebellion called the Standard.
And I've had that. I got it in the pub show, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Thanks to Wes.
We're on our 5th barrel of that.
Gosh.
Wow.
So,
and I'm a Makers fan too. I mean, to me, like, I think Makers was my first love of whiskey personally. I mean, I love the red dip bottle. And
right.
it definitely was from a marketing standpoint. And I remember becoming an ambassador, like I filled out their thing online. And to this day, you probably get a little Christmas present in the mail. Do you guys do that at all?
No.
Yes.
If you become, I think it's a marketing genius, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I just love the story behind it. Like it was, Margie Samuels, Mr. Samuels, the patriarch, his wife went and she designed everything by hand. I mean, she actually, the Maker's Mark original labels were handwritten.
Wow. Oh, wow.
And then she came out with the dip in the bottle and the wax to make it stand out more on the shelves. I mean,
genius.
And the recipe's not changed once,
Yep.
So it's pretty neat. I mean, even if you look at like everything else that the Maker's Mark does, whether it's 46, whether it's the standard collection, it's still the same base recipe. Yeah, 46 and the private collections, those are all just a stave. Those are finishes. But the base juice is all the same mash bill, and that's all they do.
Yep.
Wow.
So
it was my first love with whiskey. It still is, really. I mean, I'm still a Maker's guy. So
yeah.
And join that their ambassadors program. I'm telling you, he'll get some cool swag for Christmas every year. So
We have to sign up now.
yeah, I mean, like a scarf for your bottle is amazing.
they also part of that program is if you are like, your name gets put on a barrel. And
and I did that early on.
yeah.
You probably did it
when
too.
that barrel matures. You have the opportunity to like purchase some of those bottles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I did it a long time ago. I think I moved too many times and it just never really caught up to where I was. But
Yeah, my friend just got a bottle this year. And I was like, how did you do that? She told me. I was like, yep.
It's cool though. I mean,
if
it really
you've never
is.
been to Maker's Mark, like out of all the ones out there, man, Maker's Mark is just like it's amazing.
I gotta
Really,
go.
It's just amazing. And over the years I went when it was in their original house. That's the first barrel pick I ever did at Maker's Mark was in the original house. And then the last time I went, they have this like basically like this bat cave. It's literally built into the side of a mountain, and you can see the limestone rocks in the back, and the water is literally just dripping down in this thing. It's amazing. And then now they just built a new facility, which is like LEED certified. It's like all, I don't really know what that means. But
Man, he sounds intelligent.
it's had the green energy and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's built overlooking this lake that is one of the lakes on the properties they use, which is that's where their water source is.
Okay.
So I mean, just everything about it is well thought out. Just every touch, they just don't miss anything.
That's
So it's a great experience.
I gotta go.
Yeah. And so we talked about this a little bit before, but I kind of want to go on for both of you guys, your process of tasting, because you said it's a little bit different for everyone. So I want to know what both of your processes.
I just taste.
Drink it?
Yeah. No, I mean, I've learned a little bit of even, I feel like even what Wes was saying earlier, put a little dab of water in there. I feel like I think personally that's kind of true to form, or what people say, supposedly it releases all the flavors, correct? I mean, am I right?
It opens it up a bit.
Opens it up. I think getting a little of a breathe of it or whatever before you taste it is kind of key, but I don't know. I'm not, like I said, I always laugh because I remember the first time I went to a winery with my wife. It was in Napa Valley, and they were like talking about there was a forest fire, and then you should be able to taste hints of smoke from the grapes. And I remember going, "That's bullshit," but but anyway. So, and then I think of that sometimes when I'm tasting other whiskeys, where I'm like, like to me,
You're lying.
Yeah, you're lying. But to me, it's like it's just like tasting this. Like it was the sweetness on the front end and the caramel and the things that we that were noted, and then a little bit of a burn on the back, but not a lot. Like that kind of like those to me are like it's just my personal preference. Right. Some people want more of a burn or more of some spices or whatever. It's just what I can personally handle. So I think it's all individual. I don't know. Like what's your take on it?
Again, I said it before, and I stand by this. I don't think there's a wrong way,
right?
Because what works for you may not work for me.
Yeah,
I think
that's very true.
There's something like Woodford Reserve does a really good job of this in their tasting room. They have this like wheel, and it shows you the couple hundred, almost like 1,000 different flavor that you can pick up, right? But I think the average person can maybe pick up like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
It's insane. So like these people that are master tasters, they can sit there and they can taste this against the Weller or the ones we're talking about. They could probably tell you what's what. No way. I can't do that.
Me neither.
I might be able to say, this is a wheated bourbon. That's a high rye. That's a straight up rye. That's a Scotch. But outside of that, I think it's just personal preference. I mean, your palate's gonna be different than mine. You know, for me, when I'm tasting it, I like to nose it first. You know, see what I'm getting at, because again, it's deceiving. Barrel 405 with Southern had this amazingly floral, beautiful nose, and then tasted the whiskey, and again, sorry Southern, but it was medicinal. You know, I've tasted whiskey before. Like we were at Sagamore Spirits up in Baltimore one time doing a barrel pick, which we have here at Rebellion. It tasted like the Baltimore Harbor. It was awful. It was terrible. But then, you know, you pick the next one and you're like, this is exquisite.
Yeah.
But that's the reaction that whiskey gets once it goes in that barrel. So I like to nose it, and then I like to go down the line. Usually what I'll try to do is go to for the one that had the best nose. I like to try that one first. Yeah. And I'll go down the line, taste each one, let it sit for a second. Maybe sometimes they provide you with crackers and stuff like that. Clear your palate, take a drink of water, and then go back at it. Yep. And usually the way I do is what I like the least, I won't even go back to that one. I'll just taste the other ones, because, you know, when you're tasting whiskey like that, the one thing you really don't want to do is why I always try to tell people, like, if we're going to do a barrel pick, do not drink a lot the night before. Because you're going to you'll have palate fatigue, and you're going in there and you think it's fantastic. And I know this from experience. We thought something was absolutely amazing. It was our second time we did a Four Roses barrel, and it was their high rye mash bill, and we thought it was fantastic when we tasted it. And we got it a couple months later, and I was like, this is awful. I can't believe we picked this. I mean, it's not awful. It's full of Four Roses. But when you're doing this, when you're picking a single barrel, you are looking for something that's just like completely different and exquisite, and like you want to be proud behind that pick. And we've struck out a couple of times over. You know, we've done 28 or 29 of them at Rebellion over the years, and some of them are great, like this one. We actually in the last 3 have been really lucky. We did Yellowstone. Yellowstone was actually one of the coolest distillery visits I've done in a long time. Small operation. They're the only distillery in the U.S. that's still owned by a Beam family member.
Oh, no way.
So, because they sold out. Stephen Beam owns that one, and the tour guide there was pretty epic. The guy's a personality, and his story behind Yellowstone was incredible. And I know it has nothing to do with the TV show. They were very adamant about that. But I don't think there's any wrong way of doing it. I think that you definitely develop a pattern for yourself over time doing these, but I think just have fun with it. That's the most. I think sometimes, like I've gone to do this with friends of mine. We used to split a lot of barrels in DC. And we would usually bring a guest or two with us or something like that once in a while. And some of these guys they like psych themselves out. They put too much thought into it to where they're just not even enjoying the process. And I feel like, again, you can get in your head when it comes to that.
Sure, certainly. I promised you guys that we'd stay around an hour, and we've definitely gone over that by now. But I do have one last question for both of you, because I ask everyone. For both of you, if you were to tell your younger self one thing, what would it be?
Dang, that's pretty deep. Go ahead, Wes. I'm going to defer to Wes real quick.
That's why we drink whiskey
before COVID.
That's a good one.
Say it again. So if you were your young self.
Yeah, what would you tell your younger self?
Man, that's heavy. That can be heavy.
Yeah.
We might need to pour another down.
Right.
I don't know. Like, I think, like, kind of, I guess what I was saying earlier on, like, you know, it's important to take yourself seriously and take the world seriously. But I don't know, my young self, like I never felt like I did, you know, made terrible decisions, but like I don't know, like I just navigating the roads correctly. Like we all go down this path, and you're trying to figure yourself out. But there's the weight of the world that tries to tell you how you should live and be you. And I think when you're young, you're consumed with how your perception is. So I think as you get older, you're like, screw it, I'm living my best life. Right. I got a pub shed, and that's all that matters to me, and my family, and, you know, good friends. But nah, I mean, I'm all jokes aside. I think it's just trying to, like, you know, find what you love. And like, I wish when I was younger that instead of taking calculus, I would have learned more about, you know, interest rates or things that really matter to me, like now, like as a business owner, a homeowner, car buyer, you know, I mean, just there's so many little things that you just don't learn, and you kind of live trial and error. So I don't know. I mean, I have any regrets, I guess, too. So, but
that's good.
Yeah, I think for me, as you said, kidding aside with the pub shit, I think just to surround yourself with people who you want to be and you want to be looked at, because you are, for better or worse, who you surround yourself with. And I think too many times when I was younger in the restaurant industry, you get caught up in the things that don't matter, the late night drinking and stuff like that. And, so kind of ignore the noise, you do you, and just kind of put your head down, work hard, stay true to yourself. Yeah. Those would be some solid pieces of advice. I feel like if you do that, you work hard, you're going to get where you want to be.
I mean, I would agree. I mean, I love it. My mom, my grandma, everybody would always be like, you're only as good as the company you keep. I still tell that to my kids. So it's very true.
Great advice. Yeah.
Kids nowadays don't listen when we tell them that.
I tell my kids.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Actually, surprisingly.
It's funny because I tell my kids that I love them when they walk out the door, but I always go, you're only as good as the company you keep.
Yeah.
So always remember that. Like, it's just, it is, and it really, they're going to be 50 years old one day and they're going to be like, my dad used to say, be as good as the company you keep. And I hope that resonates with them, honestly, because it resonated with me.
Yeah. I always laugh because, like, as a kid, I never thought about it because I went to church and I just hung out with the church kids for the most part. But you hit a point when I got older and I'm like, that made sense. Like, you always see these kids and you're like, oh, hey, those kids look real cool. And then you become an adult and you see what they were doing back in the day. And you're like, they only look cool, but they had a bunch of stuff going on back home. And it was just, I just think it makes sense. People nowadays, they think their parents or the people giving them advice are always bullshitting. And it's not always true.
Yeah. Well, I think in the age of Instagrams and Facebooks, life looks good for everybody, right? But it's not necessarily that way all the time, But I love seeing people's barbecue and whiskeys and travels and things more than stuff, other stuff. I don't really care, we all have houses and cars, but at the end of the day, it means nothing to me personally,
Right.
Yeah, those travels, those experiences.
Oh, yeah.
That's another thing that I would try to encourage.
Traveling, my wife and I, we always say, and I know you travel a lot too, but like I travel a lot. We save money to travel, and we feel like, I don't need more, or like less is more to me, but like I want the experiences. I want to sit in a dive bar in Belize and have a drink. I'm just saying, like I know. And same here. Like I just want to be sitting somewhere talking to someone local and hearing their story. That kind of thing. So
yeah, that's what we do too. So we're not, like, me and my wife, we're not trying to go out and see all of the, like, it's cool to see like the big things that everyone has to offer. But I like to go like, where's the best local place to go and hang out? Like, where do locals go? I want to go and talk to them. You get the true feeling of it.
I mean, let's face it, some of the best times in your life is just sitting around the fire.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Got that right.
True talk.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for bringing this in. I feel honored to be one of the first to try this and everything. So thank you so much for
Cheers to Paragon, Southern Star, Rebellion.
Yeah, thanks.
Rachel's Business and
right.
Brooklyn Arts Center.
Thanks to everybody that we did it.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah,
thank you so much. I'm excited to try this new Anthem collab with you too. So that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's gonna be. I might snake one.
Yeah, that's fine.
If you don't mind, he didn't bring me one, but I might grab one.
We do have them for sale to go only.
I'll go down to Rebellion and buy some today.
We have it on draft and cans
to
go only.
Nice. So definitely we'll tag all of the people who are a part of the ILM Downtown Brown in there. Thank you, Wes and Jay for coming on. So you guys are amazing. Definitely check out all the businesses. Keep an eye out for the Bell Tower.
Yeah, we'll release some stuff on our social platforms, Brooklyn Arts Center, Instagram, Facebook, and I will let you know more about it. We'd love to have y'all. Seriously, it'd be fun. So
love to.
More the merrier.
Do a podcast up there one night.
That's not a bad idea. Yeah, I like it.
I like that idea too. Anytime you want to get out of the, you're gonna have a bar over here clanging in dishes for long.
They have a bar right here.
I know. I know, right? You gotta have some nice selections in here. And by the way, we walked through a yoga studio to get through here.
Yes.
It's kind of like
we're not
Beavis and
Butthead. We came walking in all loud, and they're like, "Shh." Yeah. Oh, sorry.
It's a Sunday morning. They're yoga, and we're like talking about beer and whiskey. So
I think they're jealous.
Each their own. Yep. Yeah, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate you guys coming on, and we'll talk to you all again soon.
all right, thank you.
Thanks, fellas.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Cheers.